Grand Rising, Chief Sophia.
Grand Rising, Grand Rising. Sorry, of course, as soon as I'm ready, I'm not ready, but I'm here. The energy is like out of control. People are losing their minds. Literally, it's unbelievable to watch in real time the whole planet go through a psychiatric breakdown. I've never seen anything like this, to be quite honest.
Yeah, it was very badly needed.
A whole psychiatric I guess, but it's still I don't know, like this is really something. Let's just say that way. It's really something. These people have
Yeah,
lost it.
they and it's like everyone, even the quote unquote good ones, they don't. Everyone's losing it.
Yeah,
Everyone is
they're
just
just
they because even being good is not good enough. It's not.
no.
It's not like that's so. Everyone's being forced to contend with this higher level of energy, and
Yeah.
that in itself, like if we have not done, and it's not that whether we have done the work or not, it's that the energy has elevated, and because of that our being is being tested significantly, and we either have to get it or we have to get it. There is no other way.
These people are failing. I mean, I I knew it would be this way, right? Like you always know, like this is what the end result is going to be, but to literally see in real time how you've got all of these like right-wing people like one step away from calling for concentration camps practically over an incident where it doesn't seem like whatever they say happened, it just can't be true. It doesn't seem right, like something seems wrong. And people who are like the very few like conservatives that I see that are like, hey, something feels off about this, like
Mm,
we might need to think about this, they're immediately getting like shouted down practically by the blue
wow.
check brigade. And it's really like, I mean, I expected and anticipated it, but it's still amazing to see in real time. So I've just been like trying to remind like people like, hey, like this gives me Jesse Smollett vibes. Like we're not
Mhm.
like falling into this like game again. So now people are like, why won't black people say something? It's like, yes, something doesn't
Mhm.
seem right. So we're going to with in general, black people have withdrawn their energy, right? They don't notice that we actually not participating in any of this stuff. Like black people is talking about something totally different. Not this stuff at like literally not at all. Just today. And remember, today is oh yeah, this is what I wanted to start with. Today is the ninth, obviously. So this is our second day where we started the day at 16 degrees of Virgo. So this is day one of the lunar cycle. So the first day of the lunar cycle usually starts with the actual day, or sometimes the day after, in this case, of the full moon. So this is day one. We're on uh we're on the second day. This is the 20th week of the nun-day calendar, and it's a personal 4 day for everybody out here. So we're in very, very unique energy, especially being that this is our second day at 16 degrees of Virgo, where we're starting the day at 6 a.m. Another calculation that I did on my calendar, which we'll have to talk about at some point, is I just not decided, but I figured one of the miscommunications between the Olympians and the humanity is that they're using the real time sky, right? And we're using the tropical sky, which the tropical sky is, if you don't know this about astrology, it's a calculation. It's kind of like a projection. And so they're using the real time sky though, which is would be considered like Vedic astrology. So one thing I added to my calendars synchronizing system is the degree that they're at in the zodiac. And if you don't know this about Vedic astrology, it's about 10, 11, 12 degrees behind the projected sky, which is tropical. So we're at 16 degrees of Virgo, they're at 22 degrees of Leo. And so I'll be referring to that at least once during our calls so that they can understand where we are and we can know where they are. And so what does that mean like in a practical application? If we're at 16 degrees of Virgo, that's halfway through the whole Virgo slice of the chart, which is 30 degrees from 0 to 29. They're at 22 degrees of Leo, which means from their perspective, we're still in Apollo energy. And from our perspective, we're in Demeter energy. And so we're in the harvest energy in the projected sky, but they're still in the sun energy in the real time sky. So this is why things are always a little bit off because we're ahead of them. They should technically be ahead of us, but whatever they did when they recalculated everything, they just messed it all up. So that means that they have to get on the ball. I don't know. And I'm only saying this because we agreed to work with them in sort of like this rehabilitation thing to try to get everybody on the same page. But they don't have a lot of time because our Day of Atonement is coming up and the Feast of Booths and all this like spiritual like days are coming up where we have to like be in certain locations. Things have to be prepared, and we're running out of time to be prepared for our Day of Atonement and our Feast of Booths. So they don't have time to like get acclimated with how we operated. They need to figure out how they're going to handle the situation and really get into gear. And I believe that, you know, in reminding all the energies that come into this space, hey, this is where we are on the timeline, is going to be like important. I'm going to start doing that in a lot of different places, but I wanted to definitely say that here because we got to get everybody on the same page.
And when you bring up the like things have to be prepared and that they don't have time to get acclimated, especially when it comes to the Day of Atonement. Um,
What
that's
does
I'm
that mean?
assuming later this September. And yeah, yeah. What is like why this specific year? I mean, obviously, I guess they should have been doing this every single year, but like what has shifted, what has changed, and why is this one in particular so much more important than the others?
Well, I think all of the Day of Atonements are important in general, but what's important is we have authorization from the big guy to engage. Okay, so let me talk about what the Day of Atonement is. Let me go back. The Day of Atonement in the Hebrew whatever pantheon, that is the day where the creator actually comes to your house to dine with you. Like when you celebrate the Day of Atonement, you literally prepare a certain type of meal. They do vegetarian, but that's neither here nor there. You prepare a certain type of meal, whatever it is that you're gonna prepare. You set a place at the table for the creator, and then you guys sit basically. They always do everything in the dark, but they just want you to be everything as natural as possible. You sit, you eat from the plate that you set for the creator, and then when you're done eating, you go outside and take a walk. But before like you get to the dinner part, you're supposed to spend your whole day like cleaning, making sure everything is put up, making sure everything is in its place so that it can be as nice as possible. But the other thing that this does is it prepares you for the Feast of Booths, because right after the Day of Atonement, I think it's like 10 days or less, about 10 days after the Day of Atonement, which is on no 5 days. 5 days after the Day of Atonement, because it goes from sunrise on the 29th to sunrise on the 30th, because we count our days from sunrise to sunrise. That's another thing that eventually we'll have to talk about that kind of stuff. But 5 days later, that is when the Feast of Booths, which is the Feast of Succoth, starts. The Feast of Booths goes from 10:5 to 10:13. So basically, in the span of setting up your calendar, and remember that the Hebrew calendar is it kind of like tells you it gives you the important feast days, like the feast days that they celebrated in ancient times, and how to calculate them. And so what would have happened is on your Day of Atonement, that's basically like by the time you finish your Day of Atonement, that's when you start packing up your stuff. Like you're cleaning all of this time as you're doing your harvesting, you're cleaning and like getting ready to leave, because right after your Day of Atonement, you have to go wherever you're going to be for your Feast of Booths. And a booth is just a tent. So this is like a big, like, kind of like what they do at Burning Man, but like the real version of it. Like that's where they, oh my goodness, that's where they get it from. It's the Feast of Booths. Of course, they got their dates and stuff all wrong, but that's how they calculated this. That's what it would have looked like in, like when we did it, would have been a bunch of people. You would have had 5 days from the Day of Atonement to the Feast of Booths to get there for the first day. And then at the Feast of Booths, basically they would stay in tents, like I said, which are booths, for 8 days outside of nature. It was a vacation. It wasn't like how they do it at Burning Man, where like, oh, it kind of is like, but it's nice. It's not like, oh, you're gonna get there and there's gonna be people who just ride in on bicycles, like, and have nowhere to sleep and have to like mooch off of everybody there, and there's no money exchange. The principle is like correct, but the way that they execute it is not it. But if you want an idea of what our Feast of Booths would have looked like, that's literally what it is. And then because on the 8th day of the Feast of Booths, that's when you burn something like the effigy of the cow or whatever. Like it delineates this in the Bible how this was done. So the reason why this one is important is because, number one, we calculated the first day of the year. So it's not like when I calculate my calendar, I'm not using like what anybody else uses. Like I went back, there was a lady who gave me her way of calculating the Hebrew calendar. And so I have that as a template, but her days were always wrong because she was listening to the people over there in that land, how they pick their first day of the year. And so you don't get your first day of the year right, you can't get your calendar right. And so in order to find the first day of the year, I have to actually observe it. And what does that mean? That means that every day at noon, starting around St. Patrick's Day, because it's not going to be before St. Patrick's Day, that's another whole thing. But every day at noon, I have an apparatus set up where I can observe like the sun like in the sky. And so basically at noon you look and see where the shadows are, because you have to put it in due north. It's not complicated, but it's like a whole thing. And you observe if this, you can literally see the sun change stations, because in 1 minute it's in one place, and then you may check back 10 minutes later and it's somewhere totally different. And it's like the sun cannot possibly move that fast. Then you might check back 10 minutes later again and it's moved again. Like this is like you can physically observe the sun moving in the sky. Like it literally moves. And that's how you know that's the last day of the year. And then the very next day is the first day. This is how like our people, like just people in general, humanity, like calculated the time. So because I do that, and I'm probably one of the only people on the planet who publicly does it, post it on the internet for everybody to see, all of these days are days that I calculated based off my observation, my public observation of the sun changing stations in the sky, which you can only see on the last day of the year. So this is why these are more important. And this is my third year doing it. So this is why it's even more important this year than has been in previous years. In the first year, I was like, I wasn't sure if I had done it right. It was like a little bit confusing. And the information was, the numbers, the days didn't line up. Year two, the days lined up better, but it was still like weird. This year, when I did the observation, it lined up exactly where I would have expected to see it. It was perfect. And then the first day of the year started when Aries was at 1 degree. And that's not, again, like most people when they talk about the equinoxes and the solstices, they start theirs at 0 degrees. And I was like, zero's not a real number. We have to start at one. One is the first real number. And so this again delineates me and the way I do things from everyone else. And so this is the first year where it lined up exactly. Like the first day of the year was 1 degree of Aries, and I've been able to calculate my calendar from there. So just today we were doing some research on, I mean, we're always doing some research, but I have been talking about this Feast of Booths, and early in the summer, I would say like in June, I had said, okay, so for the Feast of Booths, I need to go to Miami because I'm gonna go to Carnival, and that's like gonna be the thing that I do for this celebration. And so that whole idea just like fell off the map. Like I never got back to it. It just never came together, which is almost always a sign that I got something wrong. And so today we were doing some research into Mount St. Helens and the Northern Ring of Fire. And we realized that that Northern Ring of Fire, which is from Northern California all the way up through Washington, is 12 volcanoes. And these 12 volcanoes are literally representing the 12 zodiacs. So we were like, okay, this is where Mount Olympus is, which makes sense because Mount Olympus is one of those 12. And so if that's where Mount Olympus is, that's where we would have done our Jubilee ritual, which is every 49 years, like on the 40, actually you start early, but basically on every 49 years you have a financial reset in our system, in our old world, the way that everybody on the planet used to live who had any sense. Every 49 years we had a reset. What did that reset mean? It meant that you freed your slaves. It meant that you settled all the debts, canceled out all the debts, and you would basically go on a 3-year vacation to celebrate this reset. And so what I have theorized before is that when Columbus came to this country, and I basically backed it up with the counting, when Columbus came to this country, he saw that, especially on the East Coast or whatever, nobody was at home. Well, that's because everybody was they were on Jubilee. And Jubilee is just a vacation. And so I kept thinking, like, so if they were on Jubilee, where were they? Like, where were they that would take so long to get there and then so long to come back? And so now we have the answer to that. They were all the way up in Washington State at the Northern Ring of Fire at Mount Olympus with the Titans and the Olympians doing their whatever ceremony they had to do every 49 years as a part of the Jubilee. And we know that's true because there's an act that they came up with in 1850, the Land Donation Act, in which they basically, like, anybody in 1850, anybody who could get their hind parts to Washington or Oregon specifically could get to Oregon, was given as much land as they wanted as long as they stayed on the land for 4 years. Well, why would they have to stay in 4 years? Because our next Jubilee was in there was one in 1818 and the next one was in 1868. So when we started to gather in that area in 1868, number one, Oregon and Washington State specifically banned any colored Native Americans from going there. So they wouldn't allow us onto the land. They banned us from the land. The land was already built up because if you go somewhere on vacation and you know you're going to go there, even if you know you're only going to go there once every 50 years, someone has to go there and make sure there's enough housing, there's enough food. Like there's plans and preparation that have to be made. And so basically, what happened was they took over the land, acted like there was no one on the land because that was our vacation spot. They went into our houses that we set up. They wore our underwear. That's why I say all the time, they wore our underwear. They took our family pictures and said that was their families. They took all the money or valuables or whatever we had stored for whatever rituals that we did, and they all claimed it as their own. And so when we showed up there, we couldn't even get there. And I believe that's what the Trail of Tears were. We were headed toward our Jubilee because Obviously, if you do this every 50 years, we've been on this land for a long time, we would have trails. Like the when you think about the mechanics of moving 5, 6, 10 million people from the East Coast, where the weather is more temperate, to Washington State, where the weather is more harsh, probably as a result of us not being there, you would have paths. You would have multiple paths. You would have multiple sets of everything. You would have houses along the way. It's a long trip. You're not gonna like, just like now, if you take a road trip, you're not gonna just like leave the house and be like, okay, I'm gonna drive for 5 days and go to California. That's nuts. You're gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna stop here. I want to see this. I'm gonna stop here. That's what we would do. Stop, gather our favorite stuff, see our other people that are in different areas as we moved along to this location where we had our specific ritual. And wouldn't you know it, every fall on like October the 5th, there is a Greek festival in Portland, Oregon. So it's like, oh my gosh, they literally even took the date. Why would their Greek festival be the same as our Feast of Booths? That doesn't make any sense. You would have it in September. You would have it this day. You would have it that day. No, it's October the 5th, which is the first day of our Feast of Booths. So somebody knows what's going on. This is not a coincidence. It's not an accident. It didn't happen by chance. So, all that being said, I was going to talk about the predictions for this year. And this matters because all of that ties into these predictions. So this year is the year of the snake. And so the snake is the physical incarnation of the dragon. So everything that we did in the dragon year is going to show up as a physical manifestation in the snake year. The problem is people don't understand, they don't remember what they've been doing all dragon year. So now when stuff happens, like all of this crazy whatever stuff, they don't understand why it's happening to them. And it's only going to get worse because a lot of people are completely out of alignment with the energy. So if you were born in the year of the snake, now remember, if you were born in the year of the snake, you have to look at like your thing or whatever. And if you're born before September, then you're born. The animal is the previous year. If you're born after September, the animal is whatever it says it is for that year. And if you're born in September, you got to see where the Pisces full moon was, and if it was before, then you're the animal before, and if it was after, you're the animal after. I had to do that for me specifically to rectify this information and make it correct. Every single person who I've talked to about this and advise them to go and look it up for themselves, not with my pushing, not with my explaining, nothing. Like, go and look it up, see if it applies to you, has so far said that they resonated more with the way that I said to calculate it. So that is take it or leave it, but that's how I calculate it. And so if you're born in the year of the snake, or if you have a sun, moon, or rising sign in Virgo, all of Virgo, but Virgo especially from about 4 degrees to 10 degrees of Libra, you are going to be extremely affected by this year. Like, this year is going to be very, very, very either great for you or very difficult for you. Now, I am in this category because I'm a Virgo. I have my sun, I have my Mercury, and I have my Mars all in Virgo, all in these degree ranges. So this is a year that's going to affect me very, very, very significantly. I already can tell. So this year is the 6th year of the 12-year cycle. And like I said, it's ruled by Mars. So again, no coincidence. You have this Atlas 3I is coming from Sagittarius or Mars or whatever is coming, and it's red. Like, it's clearly like bringing this energy in. For one. For two, today is one of these made up 9-9 portals, right? 999 portals. 9 is related to Mars. So, and it's 2025. We are actually now in the 9 year as well, as far as my lunar calculation is concerned, because before, like on Sunday, that was the end of 2024, and now we're really in 2025 energy. And so this all has to do with the separation of the projected time versus the projected sky versus the real time sky. And when you like can wrap your mind around that, it'll be this whole like thought process will be much easier. But I do know that's going to take a while. um it says here, or when I looked up the lunar mansion, so let me talk a little bit about the lunar mansions. With the lunar mansions, you have the Chinese lunar mansions and you have the Arabic lunar mansions. Now, these lunar mansions, the way that they calculate them, they work in reverse order. And that I believe is because the Chinese were using the new moons and the Arabics were using the full moons, and that's why they're flipped. But again, I rectified this on my in my charting system so that they could be on the same page. So this is lunar mansion 13 in the Chinese lunar mansions, and it's the Arabic lunar mansions is 27, another 9, which makes me think that of course the way that they number theirs is more correct because we're in a 9 year now. We have all of these nines. You just can't pretend like you don't see all of this stuff, even though they want you to pretend like your eyes are lying to you. um this lunar mansion in the Arabic is called Al Awa or the Barker, and it's after a constellation in Virgo that looks like it's barking at the constellation in Leo, or the lion that is in the Leo slice. And what did I like mention? I mentioned that right now in the sun is in started the day. We started the day at 16 degrees of Virgo here Eastern Standard Time, but in our Olympians time in the real time sky, it's 22 degrees of Leo. So what is happening? You have us in Virgo barking at the Olympians in Leo. Like it's a literal representation of what is actually going on. So that's another reason why I'm going to be really like digging into the lunar mansions, and we'll be going through them very carefully in this year. Um it says in this mansion, it is good to be creative, unleash your passion, and unite the opposites. It's also good to pay homage to your ancestors and expect a lot of pomp and ceremony. I mean, this is going to be a very ceremonious year. Now, what did I just say? Oh, our Feast of Booths is really important. Oh, our Day of Atonement is really important. Those are the first two holidays in this lunar year. Like the very beside, of course, the nativity of the Theotokos, that was yesterday. But those are the first two like celebration days in this lunar year. So yes, these are really important because it's a snake year, it's a 9 year, it's lunar mansion 27 right now. These are all like clear that these things are really important. We can't like ignore all this information. It also says that you should avoid long-term commitments and giving up on your desires. um don't give up now. Like if you've been working on like your spiritual walk and trying to be a better person and just trying to flow with the energy instead of commanding it, and you've just in general been a good person and not out here like chimping out on the internet over some Khazarian Ukrainian whom you've never met, who shouldn't even be here because they started this war in that country. Like, why are people on the internet chipping out over this? Like, it's so like short sighted. And there's gonna be, I mean, not there's gonna be, I shouldn't say that. If these people are not careful, they are going to start a very one-sided race war because as I have mentioned and continue to mention, black people are on vacation. We're already mentally on vacation. All black people, like in December, got the message, hey, I think it's time for us to just check out. And most black people have literally checked out. Like, despite what you see on the internet, you see in the media, most black people are checked out. If you would look at black TikTok right now, we ain't talking about none of this. We is talking about building businesses, getting people in school, starting like hair braiding shops. We're dealing with our own internal issues with these people who have black skin who are not from America. We call them tethers, but we're too busy like trying to figure out how we're going to delineate from them because they're another parasite on our community that's making us look bad. Like we have to get these people like identified, the ones who don't want to, again, this is all about what God you worship. They don't want to worship our God. They don't want to follow our customs and our rules. They should not be affiliated with us. But most people who don't know about like this kind of stuff, you would never know there's this raging battle between black Americans. And matter of fact, what everybody is talking about is the basketball player Carmelo Anthony got on the stage, he got some award or something, and basically disrespected his mother, who is a black American, and really talked about his Puerto Rican father, which has, so black people are up in arms over that. We're not talking about this thing that's going on in North Carolina at all. Like I've been saying this all day. It's like people don't, it don't smell, it don't pass the smell test. And so we're not putting no energy into it. So because we're on vacation, if they try to start a race war, we're not even going to bite. We're not putting any energy into defending this country, these people, none of this stuff. All this stuff that's going on, this talking, is just talk because the black folks is on vacation. We trying to figure out what cruise line we can go on without being videotaped and harassed. Like this, what we talking about. They're not talking about none of that stuff everyone else is talking about, and that is that probably has to do with the curse I put on the conservatives as a result of their response to Kendrick and his whole Super Bowl performance. I don't know, but they seem to be digging themselves a grave they can't get out of because why are you alienating people you need to vote for you or vote the way that you vote? Like this something is not like 2 + 2 is 4, man. How are you going to be alienating people you need to vote for you? I just wouldn't be involved in all of that right now. Um, so the spirit intelligence that goes with this lunar mansion, which is Lunar Mansion 27, is Imcheba. And Imcheba is related to Mummial magic, which is how you extend your life and also how to enter into astro spiritual pacts without putting your body and soul on the line. So what that means is this guy can, okay, Mummial magic basically is literally like the process of extending your life. And it doesn't just mean physically extending your life either. It also means like your legacy, your bloodline, all that kind of stuff. This is the guy that deals with that. And also making these deals. So like I said, on the 7th was a Pacao Votum Tomb Day. And that's when me personally, I made a vow to Poseidon. If you do this, I will do this. That's how you do it. You make them on these vow days. You don't pledge to the gods every single day something. No, you have to wait for the certain day because it's astro magic. Like that means you have to use the astrology. And astrology is tied into the Zolkin. So you wait until these certain days that are tomb days, that those are the days that you can safely make vows to these various entities without having them bind your body and soul to service to them. So this is why you have, again, this calendar, this whole thing is going to like, make it so that people can do this stuff without having the problems that all of these elites and whoever are caught up with now, because they made vows on every day. They made vows on days they shouldn't have made them. They made vows based on planets, not based on constellations. They made vows to a billion different entities and not just one. They're not just sticking with one pantheon. Like they're bouncing around between pantheons without bringing them together, like so that they can play them against each other. We're not playing those type of games over here at all. And so the last, well, two more things I want to mention. The sense. Okay, so the sense related to this lunar mansion is important because these are scents that you can use throughout the whole year, and they're quite expensive. One of them is oud. Oud is really expensive. Do not buy oud unless you go to a literal Middle Eastern store and they're selling an oud product, or you go onto Etsy and buy you an oud product. I'm probably going to sell some. I'm still working on that. But oud is agar wood. It's one of the most expensive scents on the planet. It's that thing, like if you're ever around Middle Eastern people and they just have that smell that's like so good, but you don't know like what it is. it's oud. Like if it's like a smell you just can't quite put your finger on. 9 times out of 10 is oud. Extremely expensive. The other one is also called lingam aloes. That's in the old school, but now, of course, obviously you're looking to buy it. It's called oud, OUD. The other one is amber. And amber is also quite expensive as an oil. That I have found some where they have it together, but that's what you want to be like. Um, if you want to tap into the flow of this energy, if you want to um clear energy out like from around you that is not helping you tap into the positive side of this energy, that's something you may want to consider using. um what was I going to say about that? Oh, oud specifically is a symbol of hospitality, purity, blessing, status, honor, prestige, and elegance. And so, um, in the stories in the Bible, when they say they didn't give them hospitality, what they mean is they didn't burn these scents for them. When you okay, so think about it this way: we have the snake, the grand cosmic snake, coming to visit the planet this year. This is the year that this snake rules the planet. Imagine not showing this snake hospitality, and the hospitality is burning some oud. Like this is the kind of things where people are just they're gonna get themselves in trouble because this again, I didn't make this stuff up. I just put it together in a little calendar so I could follow along with what was going on. This is their custom. This is what they want. I don't get involved with what people want. If this is what they want what they want. Doesn't matter to me. Let me just do my best to give it to them. And the crazy part is on Sunday, I went looking like online because I buy some stuff like camphor straight from India, and I was like, dang, I really need to get some camphor. I'm looking for some oud. I was already thinking about this. I hadn't even done this like whole reading or whatever, this whole predictions, and I was already thinking about oud and amber. And I was like, dang, I need to get some amber. I was thinking about it for a different reason, but it was already in my energy on Sunday because I was literally looking for it and couldn't put my hands on it exactly. Um, and so the last thing I'm going to mention is this is a 9 year, okay? So 9 is the highest number there is, and the shadow of 9 is 0. So if you don't give it all you got this year, you're going to get nothing. And these people, this is the first day, part 2 of the first day of the first year, and you have all of the media, all of these people putting all of their energy into a Khazarian Ukrainian immigrant. What you think they're gonna get back at the end of this year?
Yeah,
Exactly.
what what a way to start the new year by focusing on this. Whether it happened or not is actually completely irrelevant. Murders happen all the time, bad shit happens all the time, but for
Absolutely.
people to like take this, I mean, I was just scrolling through my feed earlier, and people are like, I have to take a break from X because this situation with this girl is just so horrible and I feel so bad, and this and that, and then the comments are all like, oh, we gotta we gotta vote these people out.
Right.
We gotta, there's a Matt Walsh, a
Yep.
conservative influencer, talking about like, oh, if someone like gets tried for doing something, they should be hung the next day.
Yeah.
It's like, what, like, guys, like, it's like, and the thing
Are
is,
you
they're projecting.
okay? Like,
Yeah,
are
they're
you
projecting because
okay?
what's happening is their life is turning into absolute chaotic shit,
Right.
and so they gotta fixate on these crazy, obscene both solutions as well as like a way to direct their rage,
Right.
direct their discontentment, their disillusionment, their basically their failure. That's what they're doing. And but
Right.
the funny thing is, it's only making it worse. It's only making what they're feeling worse because they're
Yep.
not dealing with the emotions, they're not dealing with the energy. They're just like, oh, the system told me to direct my rage at this non-event. It's a non-event. It's a non-event. Complete non-event. Who cares? Who cares? There's so much happening in our individual lives, and you're focusing on this thing of potentially either it's an immigrant, a person with dark color. Like, who cares? None of we're entering like crazy, crazy times, individually as human beings, and people are fixating on just the wrong shit. And to begin the snake here in this way, it's like, guys, like you know, all these people talking about how smart they are because they either didn't fall for COVID or they just act like they didn't. Or the thing is, they all act like they didn't fall for COVID, but
Right,
best believe
exactly.
when COVID came, they were pissing their fucking pants.
Yeah, absolutely. They're lying. Like they're totally lying. Like I think I've never seen so much, like you said, projection and lying, like ever. Like this is worse than COVID. Like this whole thing is so crazy because it's like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna put round black people up and put them in concentration camps? Like, is that what you're saying? And literally, they're basically like saying that. And I'm like, you guys try it. Okay, just try it and see what happens. Because we, again, black folks we're not paying attention. It doesn't pass the smell test one way or another. We're not involved. And it's like it's like the whole George Floyd thing. I only mention it like that because the whole George Floyd thing was the same way. A lot of conservatives thought black people were marching because of what happened to George Floyd, and that's not what happened. Black people was out marching because they were told by their demonic nine handlers that they needed to get out and protest because Trump bad. Like they totally missed that part of the whole scenario. Like, no, they weren't protesting over that. I mean, yeah, they used that as an excuse, but this was the Divine Nine and their whole mail-in voting and all their other like stuff that they had planned. Nobody cares about George Floyd in a black people out every day. I see the white people, oh, George Floyd and this, and black people are like, why do they think we care about him? It's so, again, weird because that whole thing don't pass. I mean, I did a lot of research into it, but it don't pass the smell test either. And so black people have that bad habit. It's a good habit, but it's bad when you're dealing with people who handle things in the opposite energy of when something doesn't seem right, we just don't say anything at all. That's why I say Jussie Smollett, because when that thing happened, black folks was like, the demonic nine and all the, the leaders and stuff were all out there beating their breasts about it and all this stuff. And black folks was kind of like, I'm having a hard time with that one. Like I seen people that I know are diehard Democrats that were kind of like, something's not right about that boy. So I'm not sure this is the hill we should die on. And so a lot of people started to kind of withdraw their energy from the system as a result of that. And so what you have today is now we just ain't involved in it at all. But there nobody is used to that response from our people. And so they're like, well, y'all should care, y'all should. I'm not taking the side of a murderer, but I'm also going to laugh at the politicians who are saying that that girl is one of their constituents and that we need to do. I saw a thing where the guy was like, I'm going to spend $500,000, $10,000 for anybody who's going to go and paint that girl's face in places all over the country. And I'm like, wait a minute. So she's not an American. Like, I'm just confused. So she's not an American, but you want her face all over the country? You want her to be the face of America, a non-American? Wasn't y'all just saying that about the Jews? I'm confused. Like in general, like I'm confused. Why can't Americans be the face of America? There's plenty of Americans that have been brutally murdered. What are these? The angel families and all this stuff by like illegal aliens and stuff that no, we're not talking about that no more. Now let's only focus. Matter of fact, it was a black girl in Maryland where I'm from who was like 19 years old who was just brutally murdered by an illegal alien. No, we ain't talking about that. We're going to talk about this right here. Like, come on, man. Yo, let's do apples and oranges. Like now we got it. We finally, you guys finally got a killing, which is horrible, that you can actually like unite with black people on, and y'all are like, no, we care about this white girl. F that black girl. Like, come on, man. I'm like, this how y'all want to start your year? Fine. I'm energetic. I was laughing at people all day. I was like, I'm joy maxing. Like, I don't know what y'all are talking about. I don't care. And I even commented on some of the conservatives that I know, and I was just like, I know your fan base not gonna like this, but I actually don't like black people don't care. Like we're not involved. It don't pass the smell test. We're not involved in this. And I was just trying to like pass the message along that we're like, no, the whole thing don't seem right. We don't like it. Like, let's wait and see some details. Because one thing about Black people, we was the first ones really calling for Diddy to be locked up. We was like, lock him up. R. Kelly, lock him. We don't have no problem calling out our people when they do stuff they don't supposed to be doing. We've never had a problem with that. I don't know why that's not seen by the wider country, but for whatever reason, we just get this whole like image that we don't call our own people out. We do all the time. When these YNs be acting crazy, you got the unks going around all the time. Like, hey, y'all need to quit it with that shooting, man. Quit it with your life is more valuable with that. That never gets covered. But when you have an incident like this, which is, clearly racially motivated, like purposely, that's what we all want to focus on. Forget all the other stuff that people are doing, how they're trying to help the community, make things better, so on and so forth. Let's just focus on this. And don't even get me started on the crime statistics, because people like this don't trust the government for anything except crime statistics. Make that make sense. Like, I'm confused again. How can you believe you can't trust the FBI for anything except crime statistics? Please make it make sense. So I've been laughing at these people all day, and I've just been thinking about this. Like, this is the energy, though. They tried to harness this start of the year so that we would what? Be the barking dog at the lion. And like we were talking in the last stream, what does a barking dog do? Not shit. The barking dog is just gonna bark. And that's what they spent their whole first day of this very powerful, very important double day snake year barking about nothing that's going to come to nothing. Nuts.
Yeah, it's well that guy that was talking about the murals, this is just some beta boy trying to score some social points. It's
Yep.
everybody is down bad, and so when things go quote unquote viral, all these white people, and it's not just white people, but I would say in this case it is white people, they're just trying to gain
Oh, and the
brownie
Hodge
points.
twins. White people and the Hodge twins.
The Hodge twins.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
right.
I had to. I couldn't help it.
They're just trying to earn brownie points. They're just trying to be cool.
Yeah.
Everyone's just so desperate to be popular because their facade of what they are is falling apart, but they're still so beholden to the tribe, to the system, to
Yep.
to the to the masses, to the people. So and it's like I see it with like you see like the Catholic accounts and they're all, "Oh, let's pray for her." So everybody's
Oh
like
my
everybody
gosh.
comes out with their little fucking tools like it's like everyone um it's like a Halloween party of little kids. Obviously, all the little
Yeah.
kids, they wanna show off their costumes. They wanna show off, their fangs. They wanna show off their ninja sticks. They wanna show off their sword. Like, they wanna show off what they have created for themselves. As you said, what they've done Dragon Year, and this is what they have to show for.
Right.
It's just bullshit.
Wow.
It's just shallow. It's shallow shit. Give me some substance, guys. It's Snake here. Show me your
Right.
costume. Show me what you have built
Right.
this last year. And what they have built is, oh, I'm just gonna fall for the next psyop, the weekly psyop.
Exactly. The weekly psyop. I'm unimpressed. The government used to do really good psyops. This is like one of the worst I have seen. Like, and this is the one of the conservative I saw this morning, which really set me off, because I was like, she's the only one who gets it. Was Mindy Robinson, and I don't even care for her, but she was like, I've been in a lot of movies. This looks like a stage. It looks like a
Wow.
stage. She said that. And that's why when
Ah.
I looked at the people who like were commenting, and a few people were like, yeah, it doesn't feel right. It does, my intuition is telling me. And I'm all of those people, I was like, may the creator be gracious to you. I gave him a blessing, because you have to reward good behavior. Like, that's good behavior. Even though I'm not a fan of hers, that's good behavior to call a spade.
Yeah.
At least think about it. Like, don't just like emotionally go along with what AI can do. This is the part I don't understand.
Uh-huh.
With what AI can do, why do you believe anything that you see? Like everything could be a lie. And that's what AI does. It's like the whole of X turned into boomers overnight. I think and that's like really sad. Like what happened to the thought? Like all of y'all are believing this like a boomer. And people and again
Right?
she was pointing out like the angles, she was pointing out the lighting, she was pointing out the way that people were like behaving weirdly, like she was pointing out all this stuff, and all of these blue check accounts was just like, no, it's real, nope, it's real, you're wrong, you got it wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. And like the non-blue checks accounts were like, yeah, something is not right, I'm not sure about this, I think that maybe you're like kind of on point with this, something that doesn't feel right. I'm like, yeah, they can feel the energy, they can feel the energy. Like, because even if it did happen, right, it don't feel right. Like it doesn't seem like like an authentic like thing that happened. Like something is just not authentic about it. Like in general, like this guy, like it's
Yeah,
like
like,
they
wow,
watch all
finally the
these
cameras work in these trains. For
right.
for the
Oh my
first time ever, like, they're actually, like, recording. And it's, like,
gosh!
HD, it's, like,
Exactly.
HD
Like
quality.
it nuts. Totally. It's like, okay, so you mean to tell me all of these all oh, the guy who shot at Trump was a CIA asset, but there's no one else. That's it. Like, okay, all right. No, the CIA, the FBI, they don't use no other mentally deranged people. Even though we just had this incident at the Christmas thing in Louisiana where the black guy ran a bunch of people over. He was clearly an asset. It's like it when it because it fits their belief
Uh-huh.
system, and that's
Right.
why I talk about this whole thing of the land deal, because it fits their belief system that black, for whatever reason, people of color, like with melanin in their skin, don't belong in their
Mhm.
spaces. Which is kind of like you're in our space actually, but we decided like we were not going to be fighting and now we're just like withdrawing our energy. It just feeds this whole thing of like, yeah, like I've seen so many people today say segregation was great, and I'm like, we're the ones who they had to fight us to desegregate. We were the ones who wanted segregation. If you look at Brown versus Board and all of that, we didn't want integration. Like I studied this really extensively, and my mom, she was one of the first black kids to be integrated in Maryland in the 60s. They didn't want integration. We had our own schools. It was the other way. The whole story was told in reverse. Like we maybe in this deep south where there was like a lot of like income disparity, but like in the mid, like in the north and like the northeast, especially in Maryland and even in Virginia, we didn't want no integrate. We had our own communities, fully functioning communities. We was not trying to integrate at all. Like it was they forced that in Brown versus Board of Education. They forced that at the last minute. The lawyers who were Jewish from the NAACP told these parents that they would drop the whole case if they didn't ask for integration. And that's how integration happened, because that's not what we were asking for. What we were asking for was equal funding. Like our school gets X amount of funds and their school gets X amount of funds. It should be the same. That's what we were asking for. At the last minute, they changed the whole thing, and nobody wants to keep reliving the civil rights era. That's like why I want to like talk about it, and I'm not gonna talk about it no more because nobody's gonna keep reliving this trauma. Like that's another psyop within itself. Now black people are starting to pay attention to the story, and so here they go with their same old 1968 talking points. Like, no, we're not going to do that either. What we're going to do is say it's not right and it don't matter to us. We've got energy, we've got a kingdom to build, so we're not going to be worried about what these people are doing in their system because it don't have nothing to do with us.
Yeah, it's very interesting how, um, I guess mainly the conservative white has been programmed, especially this last election, to just detest immigrants of any kind, that they're not
Right,
helpful at all, and also that black people are just like uneducated, animalistic, aggressive, just like the most horrible people ever. And it's
right,
cool. It's like become cool to be racist. It's become cool to look down upon those that aren't of your own skin color, and specifically for white people that aren't white. But what's kind of hilarious about the whole situation is these are just the losers. Like they don't have any real influence. They don't have any real.
Right.
They're just the little sheep being told where to go, but like they don't have the power. They don't have,
No.
and maybe they did in the past, but like the system itself, has no power at all whatsoever, and that's why it seems like um, people are getting so riled up about the smallest shit because, as you said, black people are checking out. They're just doing the work that they got to do because they're preparing for what's to come, and
Right.
the white people are like, it's not even the white people, it's just like these, like, program bots. These program bots, because
Yeah.
a lot of them
The
aren't even
bots.
they
Yeah.
aren't even white. A lot of these,
They're
like,
not.
someone
I
like Nick
know.
Fuentes, half Mexican, and he's the
Right.
one pushing about the whole, white supremacy, white nationalism, America
Nuts.
first type of thing. So it's like, it's not even white people, it's just men that are very disillusioned with the fact that they can't get bitches. That's probably number one thing. They
Right.
can't get girls,
Right.
no girls looking at them, so they're very disillusioned, and so it goes down the path of this world is wrong. This world is horrible.
Right.
It's not working out. And then who do we blame? Well, obviously you got to blame a scapegoat. You got to blame the immigrants.
Right.
You got to blame, the people that the system is telling you to be scared of. And so what's happening now is because black people are not feeding into their crap,
Nope.
they're like insolent children throwing a tantrum. Give me
Yep.
attention, give me attention. I want to be important. I want to be important. And more people that have the power, aka people that have the energy, are saying, "No, I don't give a shit. I don't care
Right.
about your little Ukrainian woman and this guy that stabbed her or whatever." Like I keep seeing on my feed, and every time I see it, my energy is like, I don't care. I don't care about the sob
Right.
stories. I don't care about your whole essay that you're gonna write. I don't give a shit. And that's who they're trying to convince. It's people like us, people that actually have
Right.
the power. If I
Right.
actually cared, if I actually felt intuitively called to give it energy, yeah, we could start something going, but this is gonna die out. That's why the guy's talking
Right.
about, oh, let's paint some murals across all these cities because it's
Right.
dead. It's
Exactly.
dead. They're trying to build something up that died off the rip. Why? Because we are not giving it energy. And
Trying to
and
beat a
obviously
dead
these,
horse.
yeah, and these other people, they don't got any energy. So there's like there
Nope.
it's a very it just, yeah, it is such a sad way of entering the year. And so, okay, so last point on this is, um so a lot the people are in the programming that we're entering horse year very soon, right?
Right.
We're
You were
basically,
saying about that.
halfway into snake year, or a little more than halfway into snake year. What do horses do? Horses get together and they do stampedes. Like they run. They
Right.
run like really strong. They're really, really strong animals, and they run like crazy, and you cannot stop when they get going.
No.
Whereas the snake, it's not moving haphazardly. It's not moving quickly. It is relaxing, waiting, maneuvering very intelligently, and positioning itself to get the prey. So,
Right.
what are the odds that snake year comes about and you got people just haphazardly wasting their energy all over the place, literally, as they say, blowing their load right off the rip, with
Jesus.
zero strategy. We are entering the snake year. This is when you chill the fuck out and start moving as strategically as possible. But people are starting to move like wild horses, like these wild animals, and it's like they're so far ahead that like they're so far behind.
Right.
So imagine
Exactly.
they're gonna blow their load the first few weeks into snake year. What are they gonna do when they have literally zero energy now for the rest of that year? They're just gonna
So
get dragged.
the horse year obviously starts at the like the end of next year, and um it's day 11 of the cycle. It's a neutral energy. So like this year, snake year is a negative energy, but that doesn't mean it's going to be a negative year, but it's going to be a, I would say the energy is going to be very, very low, which means you have to have your own internal energy built up, right? And so the horse year is also ruled by the sun, and it's the second energy in this red bird of the south. So because it's ruled by the sun, you have a horse and the sun. Think the story of Icarus. Their wings are gonna burn off. Like they're, first of all, we're over a year away from that energy. They're already calling it in. And so by the time that year, that energy actually comes here and like takes a hold, their wings are going to burn off because they are going to be too close to the sun. And it's unfortunate because next year is midterms, and so they're like I said, they're burning their they're burning their wings off. So they, like you just said, they're blowing their load way too early. By the time the energy actually comes in and they need to get people out to vote, it's going to be a bloodbath. And you have people, like Scott Pressler saying, "Hey, we have to get to work. Memes aren't going to do it. You're going to blow it." And basically, they're like, they called him like a Israeli asset or something. And I'm like, Scott Pressler, man, get out of here. I don't have the energy for this. Like, do you
And the
even
thing is,
understand?
he is an asset. What is an asset? Isn't an asset, something that you wanna have, you wanna own?
Right. He is an asset,
Like
but he's not an Israeli asset. Like,
right,
come on,
right.
bro. Like, get out
So
of
it's
here.
it's hilarious that the people that are not assets at all, basically the people that are worthless,
Right.
are trying to
Right.
convince an asset that is valuable to basically fuck off.
Right. Crazy. This is why I always support him, because it's really, and you know what? Now that you mention it, they're doing that to everybody. So there's an artist that I follow who's just like a regular artist. Her name is Uzo, and she's Nigerian, and she's doing this whole like art show in Nigeria that she's paying for with her own money from, she said, like 2 years of commissions, and it's going to be really nice and all of that. Do you know that these weird, again, Africans, the Nigerians, started a campaign against her doing her art show in Nigeria? Like, why are you like, somebody did a side by side. The campaign to sign the campaign to change.org or whatever against her had 4,000 signatures, and the campaign to bring medicine to Nigeria had like 20 signatures. It's like y'all got y'all priorities all messed up. Like
Right.
totally out of alignment, man. Like, don't you think you should be worried about getting medicine to your country, not about this woman who has, I mean, her story is actually amazing as an independent artist, who as an independent artist is funding her own art show in a whole nother country where she was not raised in, and she's still coming
Mm,
to give back to the country, and here y'all are
crazy.
like treating her like, oh well, she's appropriating our culture. She's Nigerian. Like, what are you talking about? She's not appropriating your culture. She's a part of your culture. Oh, but because she grew up in America, y'all don't count that. That's not fair. Again, this is a worldwide problem. This is why I talk about it in terms of black and white, but it's really a worldwide problem of people who are Oh, that's what I forgot I need to talk about. People who are worshiping the god of time, like literally worshiping time. And that's what we have a difference of. The god of time is Kronos, okay? In the story of the Titans, he was defeated fair and square by the Olympians, okay? And he was basically cast into the outer darkness, and then chaos began to ensue so much on the earth that Gaia, who is one of the considered one of the titans, like the primordial titan mother, she released Kronos so that he could like clean up the planet. But again, these titans, these Olympians, these gods are not supposed to interfere with their own agenda inside of humans' business. So we have to, as we begin to work with these different entities, keep in mind that you are the one with the body. They don't have a body. You are the one with the body. They did not incarnate. You incarnated. So that means they have to do what you said, and they have to stay in their place. It doesn't mean you don't revere them and have respect for them or anything like that. What I'm saying is you don't let them control you. And so a lot of these, I call them now Latin Christians, the ones that follow the papacy and also the Protestants, and also a lot of people who are just Gnostic and all that stuff, they worship time. And they don't know that they're worshiping time because they're counting the days. I sent you the video I made on this 2 years ago where I was telling people the difference between redeeming the time and counting the days. What we're doing with this calendar is we're redeeming the time. Every bit of this information is tied to an entity who has been neglected, abused, and misused for at least the last 2,000 years. So every one of these bits of information, every one of these entities is valuable and important and has a role to play. But we're redeeming them by working with them. So what these other people these Chronos worshipers are doing, they are counting the time. So like as the days go by, they're counting like, oh, there's 5 days to work this week. I've got 3 more days to work. I got 2 days off. Oh, it's 2 months till Christmas. Is this, is that. They're counting the days instead of redeeming the time. You redeem the time by living in the moment, by living for the next event, not for the next day. Like, I don't live for the next day. I live for the next experience, the next moment. And so I'm looking forward to the holidays, in general. I'm always looking forward to the holidays, whatever holidays I can get. That's why I take that whole Day of Atonement and the Feast of Booth so important. Those are holidays. Those are our, holidays I'm supposed to celebrate. So yeah, I'm gonna take them important because that's how you redeem the time. When you ignore, like the Hebrew Israelites, this is my whole problem with them. They don't celebrate no holidays, just like Jehovah's Witnesses and some other ones. They don't celebrate no holidays. And so they are only counting the days. And what are they counting the days toward? They're counting the days toward their deaths. Like they're just waiting to die. Now, as I mentioned, the guy that deals with this lunar mansion is Incheba, and Incheba is related to mummial magic, which is how to extend your life, how to extend your time. And here you have these Latin Christians and these Pentecostals counting the days until they die. Just saying, oh, one day I'm going to go to glory. Well, what about today? Can you have glory today? Or is it only that day when you die that you're going to have glory? Like, the story doesn't make sense, but this goes back to the whole concept of original sin. Because if you believe that humanity is sinful, then the only good thing a human can do is die. But if you believe that God gave you all these tools to use to your benefit, then you're redeeming the time. And that's like what is happening. I can clearly see the difference between those people who are counting the days and those people who are redeeming the time. Like, there's a clear difference.
So, going to the rehabilitation side, um, I mean, can't we see what's going on and basically see that, like, it might not actually be Chronos being bad, but this is just another form of how they have manipulated and taken advantage of Chronos?
I would be inclined to that in most situations. But because Gaia is the one who let him loose, it says in his mythology that while he was cast into the outer darkness, he spent his whole time plotting his revenge on those people who cast him out. So it's kind of hard to rehabilitate somebody in any case who spends their whole time plotting. Like, the whole point of rehabilitation is you're supposed to do your time for your crime and, come back and re-enter society as a functioning person. But that's not what he did. While he was doing his time, he was plotting his revenge. And when Gaia let him out, He did not fix the problems. He actually executed his revenge. That's literally all he's been doing for since however long he's been out is executing revenge. He never like stopped executing revenge. So I don't have a problem with rehabilitating anyone except if you're just going to spend all your time being vengeful. We can't have a and if you're going to be vengeful, that's fine, but you can't be on this land here because this land don't have a vengeful god. That land over there in the Middle East where they're fighting and all of that, they got a vengeful god there. Go there. Like we just can't be here on our land. That's all I'm like. Really, what I'm saying is you can't be here on our land. We don't like when you're dealing with rehabilitation, you can rehabilitate people in multiple ways. You can rehabilitate them by like getting them to understand their problems and come around to your solution and all of that. But another way of rehabilitation is outcast. Like we're not okay. You want to be like that? You want to be nuts and crazy and all of that stuff? Fine, but do that over there where you can't hurt anybody or you can hurt the people who are calling you. Don't come over here to this land and then try to punish us for what they did over there in that land. Like that's not fair. So go over there in that land and deal with them. And that's what a lot of these Eastern European immigrants that came here on Ellis Island, that's what they did. They bought this with them. Like they're the ones who like wanted revenge. Like the whole, I think we talked about this at the beginning of July when I was talking about the Hoover Dam and all that stuff. All of those gangsters were all from like Eastern Europe. Those real violent ones who was killing everybody and all these crazy massacres and all this stuff, they were all from Eastern Europe. They brought that entity energy with them and sat him here in Vegas actually and made them that Vegas the seat of where they worshiped him. And that's why so I say Vegas because in Vegas right now, again, they're always doing rituals. So it's another ritual starting on August the 28th, and going through I think it's just after our Feast of Booths. They at the Sphere in Las Vegas, they're showing a 70-minute version of The Wizard of Oz. And just in case you didn't know, The Wizard of Oz came out exactly 86 years ago. Now, when I went to the Bible and looked up Psalms 86, it was basically a psalm that was crying like, please forgive us, we're so sorry, we didn't mean to do it, will do better, have mercy on us, all that kind of stuff. So it's like, okay, so instead of apologizing publicly to everyone and letting people know what you did, you guys did another ritual. Like, and then you did a ritual with the Wizard of Oz. Like in the Wizard of Oz, the whole thing is the story starts with a murder. The when Dorothy crashes into Oz, she murders a witch. She just murders her in cold blood and takes her shoes. And so that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to, and one of the sisters, she had a dream that indicated this. They're trying to take our shoes. The ones of us who have done the energetic work, who have done the hard work to really like figure out what was going on, they literally want to take our shoes and wear them so that when the energy comes to check to see who is who, it will show that they did the work and we were the ones who were slacking off for the last however many years. And that's completely unacceptable. Totally rejected. But that's instead of telling the truth, they did another ritual. Like, this is why these people can't be trusted. Why do it? Did you see at the Vocal Video Music Awards, they had Sabrina Carpenter coming out of a sewer like the Jews, like that they found in the whole thing that happened where the Jews was coming out of the sewer like rats. They did a reenactment of that on the Video Music Awards. What is wrong with it? Why are y'all doing so much magic that you have to do this? This is not like this is the kind of stuff that makes me like really upset because magic is not required. All you have to do is stop being stupid and be honest about what you're doing. And instead, they always choose to go the route of magic. And it makes me like my blood boil.
Yeah. Yeah, they can't help it. They think that that's the only way to it's through like scheming that and what you're saying is very in terms of that people are like trying to take the work that we have done and basically make it as if it's their work. And
Yes.
like, they've been doing this for forever. I mean, it's
Right.
this, I would say this
Hmm.
is part of like the attempts at what they call destiny swapping. The
Yep,
funny
it
thing is,
is.
like, as if we're talking about this specific year, as this year continues to develop, they will try, and they're really trying. Like, people are really trying to um, kind of slide in and fulfill the public role that we are playing because
Right.
we're still hidden. We're still being we're still being prepared,
Right.
and so we're like in the backstage, continuing to train to be put out on the front stage. But these people,
Right.
because the system, obviously the way that it is, has put them on the front stage. They're the ones that have
Right.
the attention. They're the ones that have the followers. They're the ones that have the quote unquote clout. And so obviously, who are they going to get inspiration from? Who are they going to get the motivation from? Who are they going to follow? Well, obviously the ones that have been doing the work. So if
Right.
they're on stage, they keep looking back, trying to take as much of what they are seeing as they can, although they're so like slow that they're not actually like learning. That's the thing. They're not learning.
No.
They're just like, okay, like this is really inspiring me. Instead of me doing the work, I'ma just create like a really dumbed down, diluted version of this because all they care about is just how they're seen. They don't care about the
Right.
substance. They just care to be seen in a specific way. But
Right.
when situations like this girl getting murdered supposedly comes about, they show that they're not the shepherd. They show that they're
Right.
not the leader. They show that they're just another sheep. That when things get real, they cannot be trusted to lead anything. And the
Right.
the masses don't fully grasp what's going on, but they start to feel that like this person that's masquerading as something that they're not isn't it. And so
Right.
this year, as the days pass, um, like people are seeing that, oh, these are all prey. Like
Right.
the influencers that I held with such high regard is actually just a prey. They're not actually a
Right.
predator. They're not actually someone that I know can protect me from other predators. um, so that's very interesting in terms of how it's playing out, in that it's like everyone's trying to beat their chest that they're like this big guy, like that guy with the murals, a perfect example. That guy's
Right.
trying to act like he's for humanity's progress. Meanwhile, he ain't doing shit. He just cares about, does this make me look good? Like, is this
Right.
gonna make me seem as if I'm a progressive, humans first type of person?
Right.
And then going back to the Chronos is I the misaligned system has been worshiping uh, a darker aspect of Chronos. But if we were to look at the lighter aspect of Chronos, I think all of this work that you're doing with the calendar, like you are bringing back the actual glory of Chronos. And you being a human being, you being the one that has a body, you have the power to tell Chronos, we're not doing what they were telling you to do, what they were pushing you to do, or what you were plotting to do. You are now doing this, the calendar, because the Chronos is still going to be powerful regardless in this reality.
Right.
And what
Right.
you have done and what you've been doing and being the timekeeper, you're the timekeeper. So your connection to Chronos is very vital. And it seems like the system has been very devious, as they did with the Olympians and your relationship with them, to make
Right.
it seem as if Kronos is the bad guy. And sure, yes, has he done dark things? For sure. But like he's your man. Like he's your ally.
I love how you like to make everybody seem like, oh, but they're not that bad. It's like, yeah, okay, well, who's been doing like every time I like, okay, what you're
It's the
saying sounds
Jews,
very
as
reasonable.
as they
Oh
always
my
say.
god.
The answer is always the Jews. It's the Jews. It's the Jews. Just blame the Jews.
I mean, it's the Melchizedek. I call them. I also talk about the Melchizedek priesthood, which is the black ones. But yeah, you're probably not right. I mean, you're probably not wrong. Maybe I could be a little bit like nicer about that. I'll have to. I'm still gonna make a video
Well,
and go and
but
look
no,
at
I
his
think you're
story. But I
justified.
just,
You're justified how you
yeah,
feel for sure. It's not that you're not justified. It's that, like, as we are reclaiming our power, our individual power, as you said, like,
right,
they work for us. They serve
right,
us, they support us. So before, at least for me, I wasn't really aware of our relationship with these gods, with these
right,
goddesses. Now that with these titans, now that you are giving me clarity into, okay, like, what's this connection, is like, if they're acting bad or they're acting in a way that is not congruent with what we are being told by the creator to do, we're setting them straight. But the way that we set them straight is that we change our inner connection to them.
right,
And by changing our inner connection to them, like, they go from basically being potentially foes to now being allies. And the system can't, the system, what they want is to make everybody seem as if they're like against us, or as
right,
if they're not working for us. But when we hold
right,
the power, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if people go against us or not. We decide what happens. We decide how
right.
reality plays out. And with all the work that you're doing, like, we are literally like alchemizing the energy of Chronos that has been, the black cube. I mean, it's like the energy has been centered around like keeping Chronos almost trapped in this
Yeah,
matrix. And even if Chronos wanted to shift out of it, which I'm sure he does, like, who's gonna do it? Who's
right.
gonna take the stand to change what the system has imposed for thousands of years? You. You.
Oh, great. Okay, I see. Yeah, you're probably not wrong about that. I guess my idea of like shifting the energy or like rehabilitation is just it just must not be correct, because every time I talk about this you're like, no, no, that's not the way, and I'm like, oh, you're probably right. Like, I have to really come up with a new like understanding of rehabilitation, because um even though I am justified in being upset at all these entities for doing this stuff, it's really not them. Like, why would they, again, they don't want to be involved in humans business. Why would they get involved in humans business? I'm a human, so if they're involved in my business, that means another human called them to be involved in my business. And so that's, not to blame all humans obviously, but like, I definitely have to like start looking for the person that called the energy in, instead of automatically blaming the god, because I'm sick of them. Like, I'm just completely sick of having to figure out, like, in this very like stressful way, that, oh well, it really wasn't them, it was really, this shadowy third person like that's over here. And I always talk about, like, whenever there's like one clear way, another clear way, and then a way that's like kind of unclear, that third way is always some